Hi everyone, this is Melissa Herreria. I am an ACE certified personal trainer and a fitness nutrition specialist, also certified with ACE, the American Council on Exercise. I am a Beachbody coach and your fit badass coach. So today we are going to be going to the supermarket. But prior to doing so, I wanted to give you a little bit of detail on who I am and my transformation. So I am a person who has always exercised. Exercise has never really been the problem for me. For me, it was food, nutrition, and just learning what to get, what to eat, and where to go. I have been a fitness instructor now for 6 years, and I was having a really tough time when I first started teaching because I was eating very poorly. I would work out, grab pizza, work out, grab Starbucks, eat a bagel, and really had a low amounts of nutrition in my diet, which led me to getting really sick and tired all of the time. I mean, I was sick probably every month with another infection or cold or virus, and I was always sleeping. That is not the picture of health. Yes, I was in the front of the class teaching, but I was not healthy. And it took a lot of work personally to learn what to eat and to find what worked for me. So I am doing this presentation for you to really go over what you should be looking for at the supermarket. So I used to get a lot of anxiety over food shopping. There were just so many options and people and marketing everywhere. I would get so overwhelmed very quickly. And it wasn't until I decided to take control of my meal planning, which is very different than meal prepping, which I also do, but I'll be talking about meal planning, that I learned more about food and I could walk into the supermarket with a plan. So today I want to help you do just that. So this is what you're going to receive from me. You're going to receive information to make your supermarket shopping less stressful and more healthful. You're going to receive lessons on what to look out for in each section of the supermarket and what to stay away from. You're not going to hear me talk about different diet trends, different supplements, or different workouts, or even various food preferences, whether it's vegetarian, vegan, paleo, gluten-free, etc. I'm not going to talk about any of those. I'm just going to give you straight up answers about knowledgeable facts about food. There are many different ways that people eat and choices and diets, etc. And if you have specific questions on that, you can feel free to ask me. You can message me at melthecoach@gmail.com. If I can't help you, then, and it's out of my scope of practice, I can refer you to someone who can help you. So never hesitate to ask me a question. All right, so let's just get into the meat and the potatoes of this presentation, which is the supermarket. So this is a typical supermarket store layout. And if you're very busy and you do not have time to go through this presentation, I want to give you 3 quick tips. Tip number 1, shop the perimeter of the supermarket. The healthiest stuff and most nutritious foods tend to be at the perimeter. Processed and packaged foods, well, they find their ways into the aisles. They don't need refrigeration. Tip number 2, do not go food shopping when you are hungry. You've heard it before, I know you have, but it is true that people who shop when they are starving tend to buy more food, and it's not always as healthy. Tip number 3, plan ahead. Many people are not interested in this, but I have to tell you that it is most helpful. Plan ahead. Sit down and set up your meal plan for the week. Think of recipes that are easy to make and maybe don't include lots of ingredients. Dissect them. If the serving is for 2, decide how many, and you're just 1, decide how much you need for 1 person. Or maybe you're going to make 2 of this, 2 servings worth. Or perhaps you have a full family and you need to make 5 servings worth of something. Really go through it and decide how much of what you need. Write it down or put it on your notes and go prepared to the supermarket. It has saved me so much money, time, energy, and I am not as anxious as I used to be just because I started meal planning. Okay, so the first stop at the supermarket is the produce section. The produce section is always found at the perimeter of the grocery store, and it's always so colorful. You want to choose a variety of these colors because colors indicate vitamins and minerals. For example, bright orange means it's high in vitamin A. Green means that there's vitamin K. So shop for a variety of colors. If your plate currently is pale, white, filled with potatoes and white rice, that is a really good sign that you need to go visit the produce section and switch things up. So, one of the biggest complaints I receive from people is about buying produce, too much of it, too little of it, or just having to throw it away because by the time it gets to their home, it's not delicious or good or it's too ripe or whatever it might be. And this used to happen to me all of the time. It was really frustrating and many times it felt pointless. Like, why was I even trying, So a good rule of thumb is to shop seasonal produce. It's also going to save you lots of money. So here is a list of what is in season when. So if it's December, what you're going to be purchasing in December versus July. Perhaps there are foods and vegetables that you just absolutely love. And for that, I say go with the frozen version if it is not in season. And that is because frozen vegetables are frozen at their peak nutrition levels. So you can guarantee that you will enjoy healthy frozen vegetables. And, out of season foods or out of season vegetables and fruits are just more expensive and you're more likely needed to eat it right away because you have to understand that if it's out of season in your area, then there was a travel time for this fruit to arrive at your home. Therefore, it will have less amount of freshness, which is also a good reason to shop local because your local farmer's market will only have that which is in season. If you are going with my frozen suggestion, just make sure that you are not grabbing the vegetables that are frozen in that garlic sauce because there is too much sodium in there. And I guarantee that you can make a more delicious dish at home without having to purchase something that's already made. So just stay away from it. Lots of people will ask me about organic versus not. And this is a choice for you, your family, and your pocket. Yes, it is slightly more expensive to go organic. And I'm not going to tell you which one to choose. You can figure out, I'm sharing right now. You have a list of the Dirty Dozen. There are some foods that you may want to stay away from if they're not organic, and then others that you can decide whether you want organic or not. And the reason is that when you go organic, you can guarantee that there are little to no toxic pesticides on your fruit and vegetables. But that's your choice. Of course, you still want to wash everything you get, and you still want to make sure that it is in season and healthy for you. All right, so here we are. Typically, in some of the supermarkets I've been at, the bakery and the produce section are either close to each other, and then there's other supermarkets where they're in complete opposite sides. But many times we have to walk right through the bakery to get somewhere. And although this is in the perimeter of the supermarket, it can be very dangerous. So what is the first thing that you should note? The bakery foods are moderation. Yes, yes, yes. These are some of your sometimes food. The one thing to note is that you will see lots of things that say low fat in this area. And you have to understand that low fat does not mean low calorie, low sugar, or very healthy. Food manufacturers are very smart. They take out the fat and replace it with sugar, which means that low fat doesn't really mean a thing because the calories can actually be greater, and then the sugar content is high for even a healthy individual. So definitely take a look at that. The other problem with the bakery is that many times, well, almost all of the time, bakery items don't always include a nutrition label. So you don't even know what's in it. And that, to me, is pretty scary and enough to stay away, because if you don't know what was used to make it or how much of something was used, then you really can't guarantee that it's good for you or that it's something you even want to ingest. My suggestion, if there are certain things in the bakery that you love, learn to make it yourself. That way you know exactly what goes in it. So, other times, breads are found near the bakery or in the inside aisles, very close to the bakery. And the bread aisle just grows and grows and grows. The best quick tip on this one is to choose whole grain. And again, food marketers are very smart and sometimes slightly misleading with their word choices. And bread is a perfect example. You could find a loaf of bread that says 7-grain wheat bread or honey wheat bread. Then they have like 11-grain, 12-grain. They go crazy with this, right? And you're going to think it's whole grain. And it's not. It's not 100% whole grain. Because they use the word wheat, you think, oh my God, this has to be good. But a lot of these breads actually closely resemble white bread instead of whole grain bread. So you have to look at them very carefully, look at the nutrition labels, and just, be very aware that it's not always, everything that's at the supermarket is not in your best interest all of the time. And there are people trying to sell their product on there. So they will say as much as they can to get you to purchase it. The other thing to note is that enriched anything is not 100% whole grain. So that is a good thing to look for. 100% whole grain. And then if it says enriched whatever, it's not. And just make sure that whatever you're purchasing is a whole grain. So here we are at the Deli. The Deli. It's a very popular spot on Sunday mornings, isn't it? We love our sandwiches. One thing to note is that deli meats tend to contain a lot of nitrates and nitrites. And these ingredients are linked with cancer and are harmful to your health. So choose meats with no nitrates or nitrites added. Go online and do research of some of your favorite deli meats and make sure that those are not included in the labels or in the ingredient list. And if you don't know, ask the person behind the counter. You may come off a little pushy, but it's your health. At the end of the day, it is your life, and that is more important. So who cares if you come off a little pushy? Also, consider that processed meat does contain lots of fat and high levels of sodium. So, once again, sometimes food, not everyday food. I feel like sandwiches have become an everyday thing, and they're not necessarily that great. Which also brings me to a homemade sandwich, which might have like 2 to 3 slices of deli meat versus a sandwich purchased at a deli, which has 10 slices of deli meat, So sometimes, not every day, don't always purchase it at a deli. So here we go, rounding it out into the meat, chicken, and fish section. So when you're selecting meat, consider the fat content, particularly the saturated fat content of meats and the nutritional value found. A lot of people just grab stuff and they don't even realize what they're grabbing. But if you look, a lot of the times they'll tell you how much fat is on that, what kind of cut it is, etc. So just make sure to read through it, and you'll learn a lot about what you're choosing to ingest. While it is advisable to consume red meat in moderation, 1 to 2 times a week, make sure you're choosing leaner pieces of meat. Of course, there's tons of choices: sirloin, rib, chuck, etc. And anything can be had in moderation. So there's a place for everything. But if you're adding this to your regular diet, round cuts and loin cuts tend to be leaner cuts of meat. Ground beef versus ground turkey, always go for the 90% lean. The leaner, the better when it comes to this in regards to fat content, etc. It does tend to be more expensive, but it is worth it in the long run. Also, ground turkey tastes very similarly to ground beef, and it's typically leaner because it's primarily breast meat. So fish is one of those things that is kind of controversial, and I'll tell you to look up and search sustainability factors for fish and food safety concerns for fish, and make sure you become very educated on the type of fish and the location and the where and the how you're getting it into the store. I'm not going to cover all of that here, but it is something that's worth you searching and becoming more familiar with. Choose fish that is low in mercury. Choose fresh fish. It is more nutrient dense. And fish like salmon and tuna are high in polyunsaturated fats, which are good fats. Again, become educated on fish and fishing practices so that you know that whatever you're getting at your supermarket is yay or nay. Lastly, in this section, chicken and poultry. Go for lean sources, mostly breast meat. However, anything in moderation. So, chicken thighs and the rest of this stuff you can have. Now we're in the dairy section. We are rounding it out here. So the dairy section has many products that are a great source of omega-3 fatty acids and proteins. In this section is where you find your eggs, your cheese, your yogurts, your milks. The dairy section has grown tremendously in recent years because there's all these different type of yogurts. There's now regular eggs, there's egg whites, there's egg substitutes, there's all these cheeses, there's whole milk, 2% milk, low fat milk, almond milk, soy milk, coconut milk, all types of stuff, right? So, whoa, what is good for me? What is not good for me? Etc. Definitely of concern to anyone. And again, you have to make sure you're taking a look at a number of things. Take a look at when it comes to the milks, the saturated fat in them, and the nutrition value in them. A lot of people have now transitioned into non-dairy milk because there's more folks who are intolerant of lactose. Make sure that the milk that you're getting, a lot of times someone will get, for example, an almond milk, but it's really not an almond milk. It is an almond milk beverage, which has more sugar and flavor. So just be careful what you're looking at. And this is a definite aisle where you want to compare and you want to take a look at sugar content and fats content. One thing about dairy foods in regards to milk and cheese and yogurt is that typically when the saturated fat is removed, it's not replaced with sugar like with a cake or something like that. However, you should still check the sugar content because, as I mentioned, there has been a trend to sweeten dairy products to make it more palatable. Same thing goes with yogurt. Yogurt is a preference. It is not a must-have. And there's tons of yogurts out there that come with fruit preservatives, etc., which are appealing to your palate, but maybe not very good for your health if they're super high in sugar. If you want yogurt and you need it to have it with something sweet, I would suggest plain yogurt, whether it's plain coconut yogurt or plain regular yogurt or plain Greek yogurt. Add some honey on it, a teaspoon of honey at home, and then some fruit, and you're better off than using a preservative that comes with the container. In regards to cheeses, yellow cheese is typically fattier than white cheese. So if you have a choice between the two, for example, like cheddar or Swiss, go with the Swiss. Now we are going into the last section that I wanted to discuss, and that is the health and beauty section. You walk in here, this is not in the perimeter, this is typically an aisle. You might need some shampoo, and you see a plethora, entire shelves filled with supplements and all of these things right next to the vitamins, which, if you need a supplemental vitamin, that is cool. But then there's all this other stuff. And sometimes they'll say that they're organic and they're this and they're that. Just remember that organic foods do not imply nutritional benefit. Don't assume it's healthier nutritionally than non-organic foods. That's one. Secondly, in this section, you will find lots of nutrition labels and claims that are not regulated by the government. So it is a buyer beware type of section. And think twice about chasing the latest headline. Spend your money wisely, safety first. And I'm talking about all of the pills and the diet pills and the metabolism this and the gain muscle in 10 days this and that. Just be very careful with that. Other things to make note of, the frozen food section. Like I mentioned before, frozen fruits and vegetables have the same nutrient density as their fresh counterparts. Of course, that casserole that is there, and some of the other vegetables cooked in some type of gravy sauce are definitely not good for you. They contain lots of sodium, and many times you will find them right next to regular frozen vegetables. I have made the mistake many times of thinking that I was grabbing, you know, plain peas, for example. And what I was really grabbing was, something that was already prepared and cooked and frozen. Ice creams, pies, frozen desserts, also found in the frozen section. That is all in moderation. A good thing to make note of is to purchase the single serving packages so that you can eat it once and done versus having opened something and then, wanting to complete the full pint. The inside aisles, I didn't talk much about that. The inside aisles is where you find your canned goods, you find your cereals, your rice there. And then right next to that, you find processed and packaged options of sometimes the same exact thing or other things that look very appealing. I would say generally stay out of the inside aisles till the end of your shopping experience. Keep anything that goes in the inside aisles at the bottom of your list, and then breeze through it. Don't shop and peruse, especially if you are bringing your children with you, because food marketers are in love with placing packaged items in these aisles, directly targeting your children. You know exactly what I'm talking about. These are the high sugar snacks and cereals. These are the real fruit gummies or candy or juice that's 100% vitamin C that is just sugar. So my overall lesson to you is read the labels. I'm going to provide you with more resources and follow-up emails to help things, to make things more helpful for you so that you can feel empowered when you're at the grocery store versus lost and confused like I used to feel. And if you have further questions or you would like to work with me or book me maybe to come present in person to friends, family, corporate facility, church group, etc., reach out to me at meldacoach@gmail.com. I also run 30-day online fitness and health challenges focused on helping you reach your fitness goals with both working out, meal planning, and eating healthy. I provide tons of information there for you and work with you as long as we do want to work together. It is a very empowering group, lots of support with other folks that are in the groups, and I get very great feedback and lots of amazing results come out of that group. If you're interested in that, check me out on my website, melissaherreria.com, and you can click on Coach Me Melissa for more details. There's also a freebies section on my website that you might want to check out with some meal plans and more tips and more helpful information. If you want to be empowered in regards to your eating choices and you want to learn, I'm your girl, your fit badass coach, Melissa here, and I can't wait to connect with you. Bye.